So, I just read this, and it is a doozy. Bear with me. A writing prompt. While putting your favorite condiment on a sandwich, you accidentally make a magical occult symbol and summon a demon. Believe me, it's going to get way deeper than this. You silently take 2 more slices of bread out of the package and make another sandwich. You put it on the plate with a handful of potato chips and hand it to the demon. He takes the sandwich, smiles, and vanishes in a puff of demonic smoke. The next day you got a job promotion, and you were after. There was no contract, no words were spoken, and you owe nothing. But every now and then another demon pops in for lunch. Demons don't often get homemade sandwiches. It would be a little annoying if they weren't so nice about it. You don't know what to expect demons to be like, but you certainly didn't expect them to be nice about it. There's no demands, no voices like wailing babies, no blood on the walls, except for the one time Paul was very apologetic about the whole thing and cleaned up right quick. Just the occasional demon stopping by for lunch. In fact, you could almost forget they weren't just ordinary people. The way they act, nice too. You start talking with them, and as time goes on, in the beginning you carefully pick your words so they couldn't be spun to even imply a contract or a reference a soul. But when they seem politely eager to have a normal chat, your words become a bit looser. You even begin gossiping with them. Turns out demons have break room gossip just like anyone else, and you listen to account of how Dracolex tore an affair with Achilles and Furcan didn't even know that Glory was behind his back, poor dear. You kept quiet and let Flurkian cry on your shoulder after Glorex finally broke up with him. The shirt was a bit of a loss. Demon tears are ruinous to cloth, but Flurkian's is a good sort. You couldn't just turn him away. You even managed to talk him down from going over and starting a fight with Hercules, who didn't even know that Glorex was in a relationship and who was almost as horrified as her. After that event in particular, you start to get a sort of reputation as a place where demons can come and relax and talk and, of course, get a sandwich. Your sandwich-making skills have recently improved since the whole thing began. Your luck seems to have improved, too. You're not sure if you can attribute the whole thing to sandwiches or the reputation, but you don't really want to know anyways. One day there's a bright flash of light from your living room, nothing unusual in itself. Most of the younger demons haven't quite got the style of their elders, and usually go for a materialization and a flash of hellfire over your fireplace, except that it's white instead of the usual red. You look up, and what do you see but an angel looking at you with a spear in hand. Shrugging, you tell him to sit down, and you'll have a sandwich for him shortly. Then, meanwhile, he can just tell you about what's on his mind. This is clearly not at all what he was expecting, but after a moment's thought, he decides to take you up on the offer and starts talking. Apparently, he'd been dispatched to take care of some demon summoner in the neighborhood, and while he evidently got the wrong house, and the right one shouldn't be hard to find. Have you seen anybody practicing satanic rituals nearby? You laugh a little and tell him that you really don't summon them, they just come on their own. They do like their sandwiches, and they're quite nice folk. The angel's jaw drops, and you remind him to chew with his mouth closed. It took a bit of explaining, and the first angel to arrive telling him about the first accidental summoning, and how the demons had just started stopping by around lunchtime on your days off. Once he understood what's been going on and finished his sandwich, he nodded solemnly and said he would get this all straightened out upstairs. You eventually start getting more angels coming around for lunch. Sometimes they bring a small dessert for you to share after the sandwiches, and the dishes are always magically clean and back in the cupboard when they leave. You learn that angels don't have much of their own drama, but they do know all the truths about human tabloid drama and are more than willing to dish on what the Kardashians have been up to. The first time an angel and a demon show up for lunch on the same day is a little tense. You tell them that they're all welcome for lunch in your house, but you prefer it to be a non-conflict zone. It takes a while for them to settle, but eventually they go comfortable enough to start chatting, and that's when you learn that because demons are technically fallen angels, you've been having 2 sides of an estranged family over for lunch regularly. Soon you have an angel and a demon at every lunch. Old friends and estranged siblings meet up to reconnect over a sandwich at your dining room table, and you help the ones who had a falling out reach an understanding, and you get to hear wild stories of what the old realm was really like. One day, as you're pulling out the bread and cheese, a messenger demon appears. You greet him, and tell him a sandwich will be ready soon, but he declines. He's here on behalf of Lucifer and asks if it's all right for him to enter your dwelling as to meet with his brother Michael over sandwiches. A little stunned, you agree. The demon disappears, and you prepare 3 sandwiches, setting them at the table. When Lucifer, the actual devil, appears in a small puff of smoke, you welcome him and ask what he'd like to drink. As you fetch the apple juice, a flash of light comes from the dining room indicating Michael's arrival. You grab a second cup and walk back to find a tense standoff between the brothers. You set down the cups and juice while calmly reminding them that this is a conflict-free zone and they are going to fight. They please take it to an alternate place and plane of existence. They don't fight. They sit and enjoy the sandwiches and talk about the past. You learn a lot about why creation started, what the purpose of humanity was, and what it has grown to be. You only have to diffuse 2 arguments, and at the end, when it's come time for them to leave, they hug each other, agreeing to meet up somewhere else. In the following weeks, you have the usual assortment of demons and angels stopping by. The regulars ask how your mom is doing, and if your friend is settling into their new apartment nicely. At some point during each visit, they ask if it's true. Did Lucifer and Michael really come for lunch? You tell them yes, but won't say what about. They're disappointed, and everyone likes the gossip, but they understand. Before they leave, you ask each angel and demon about this idea you have for the summer, and what if you had a barbecue on the back patio for everyone who wanted to come? They said it sounded like a tremendous idea. Everyone had a lot of fun at the barbecue. There wasn't much fighting, but sparks and noises made you grateful your neighbors were either out of town or older/deaf. There was a great 3-legged race and a small football game where parties on all sides involved. You would never fix so much food before. Then 2 latecomers, angels and demons alike, gasped and shocked, and parted like the Red Sea, which apparently is a very exaggerated story, to let them pass. You smile warmly and ask what they would like. Both decline to answer, looking down at each other awkwardly. The demon bows its head to let the angel speak first. God himself heard about the fun and wanted to join the barbecue. You look at the messenger demon, the same one as before, and he says, "Oh, you really should stay this time." You're told that Lucifer also wants to come to your barbecue. You look between the 2, and you tell them that you won't deny one or the other, but they must keep in mind that this is a neutral zone. You won't have their conflicts interfere with the atmosphere. Both vanish momentarily. After taking a plate of food, there is a long and awkward silence. Lucifer arrives first, a flash of fire in the fire pit, coming over to get a burger. He doesn't look displeased, but not necessarily happy. There is a beautiful flash of white light and a rainbow, and then God descends onto your back porch. Your long dead flowers spring back to life in his presence. Shit. Now you actually have to go back to taking care of them. The 2 regard each other from across the backyard. There's still complete silence from the crowd of angels and the demons. You clear your throat and say, "What do you 2 want to eat?" "I have burgers, hot dogs, chicken, and some vegetarian alternatives." They slowly look at you, and you return each of their gazes. This is a no-conflict zone. We are here to have a good time at a good barbecue. More silence, and then Lucifer dishes himself a burger and goes to prepare it the way he wants. God approaches calmly, looks over your vegetarian palate. Not the best, but it would do in a quick pinch, as you found out yesterday that some of the attendees would be vegetarian, fixing himself food as well. This goes on, the others begin to relax, and soon everyone goes back to having a good time. The food is great. Desserts brought by your angelic guests really complement the meals you cooked. Nobody starts sacrificing anybody or arguments, except later there's a massive water balloon fight that knocked Michael into the fire pit and got ashes all over his brand new robes. Dear Lord Kicks! But everyone laughed it off and carried on. And as you sit on your porch taking in the sights, you wonder to yourself if you should do this kind of thing more often, and if you would have had this situation any other way. Nope, you decide when God hits Lucifer with a water balloon as he's trying to refill a super soaker, you really wouldn't want it any other way. Now, I do think it did taper off a little bit towards the end, but I want to thank the Tumblr users Writing Prompt S, Twitch, Gecko Sapiens, Just for Ship, and Lady Rage 8 for contributing to this. This was a very interesting prompt. I enjoyed reading it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Toodles!